Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. Honestly, at this point, I feel like I don't even know the man I married. How could he be so stupid? My name is Elisia, 39, female. My husband's name is Carlos, 41, male. We got married right after I graduated high school and have two beautiful kids together, a boy and a girl. We've always had a great relationship, even though we've never had a lot of money. We live in a modest house and make do with what we've got. One of my favorite things about Carlos is his sense of humor. No matter how tight money has been, he always finds a way to make me laugh and help me see the bright side of our situation. Carlos works as a construction worker. It's difficult physical work, and he doesn't make as much money as he'd like to. But it's always been a steady job. I work as a librarian for an elementary school, which makes even less money, but gives us health benefits, so it makes it well worth it. We didn't have much, but we stayed happy in any situation. That's why I was so surprised when he acted so irrationally over my newly received inheritance. I was never close to my father. I knew he lived in California and had some fancy job, but that was about it. He left my mother when I was a kid, and I only saw him a few times after that. The most contact we ever had was through birthday cards he'd send me every year. I didn't even know he had passed away last month until I received a letter in the mail from an attorney's office. It stated that he had died, and as one of his heirs, I would be receiving a $300,000 inheritance from his trust. I was shocked. I was saddened by his passing only because I never got to have a relationship with him. But I was also grateful that he even thought to include me in his will. My mind started considering all of the uses for the money. We could pay off our mortgage, pay off our credit card debt, and put the rest towards the kids' college funds. Our oldest would be graduating in 2 years, and I knew it was going to be a struggle for us to help pay for his college tuition. Receiving this unexpected money would lift a huge weight off our family's shoulders. The day I received the letter also happened to be Carlos's brother's birthday. We were having a barbecue in our backyard to celebrate the occasion, and all of our closest family and friends were there. I had checked the mail after I had gotten home from work that day, so by the time I had opened the letter and gone out to tell Carlos the news, he was already more than a few beers in. In his boozed-up state, he didn't show a hint of sadness for my father's passing, but instead just cheered loudly. "We're rich!" He started downing more drinks that our friends and family offered him, celebrating our newfound wealth. I thought it was funny at the time and figured I would talk with him more about it the next day when he'd sobered up. The day after the birthday party, Carlos had already gotten up and left for work before I had woken up, as usual. But when I came home from work, I was surprised to see Carlos's truck already parked in the driveway. This was unusual because he usually didn't get home until around 6. Maybe he had just gotten sent home early since it was a Friday, I thought. I walked into the living room to find him sitting on the couch watching TV shows, looking like he'd been there for hours. I could tell he'd been drinking again. I asked him why he had gotten home so early, and he laughed. "What do you mean? I've been home all day." I must have looked confused, so he went on to explain. "I'm officially retired. I quit first thing this morning," he said, excitedly. My jaw dropped. What the hell was he talking about? He just put in his notice this morning. No 2 weeks or anything? Why would he do that? Of course, I freaked out on him and asked him if he had lost his mind. He explained he quit because now we were loaded. His words, not mine. He said since now we have $300,000 in the bank, He figured he could quit working and effectively retire. My mind was reeling, trying to process what he was saying. I asked him if he really thought he could retire on only $300,000 at the age of 40 and how we would live the rest of our lives. He explained that that's why I would continue to work and keep our health benefits. Between my income and the inheritance money, he figured that would be enough for both of us to live on. I was absolutely dumbfounded. I started screaming at him and asking him why he wouldn't talk to me first, and also explain how we could have used that money to pay off our mortgage and save up for our kids' college. I could tell these thoughts hadn't occurred to him, and for the first time he looked a little regretful. It was like I was pulling him down from his magical fairy tale high he was living in, where we were rich and he would never have to work a day again. But what I was saying was bringing him back to reality. He sat down and took a deep breath. He explained that he was just so excited at the thought of never having to go back to a construction site again that he was blinded to reality. He figured I would have been excited for him since he knows how much of a toll his work takes on him. But he realized now how insane it was for him to quit without asking me first. I was so overwhelmed that I just sat down and started to cry. I didn't know what was going to happen next. How could we possibly live on my small salary and our savings for the rest of our lives? How could he not realize that $300,000 is not enough to retire in this day and age? And how could the man I love possibly be so selfish that he assumed that I would be okay with him suddenly retiring and me having to continue to work to support the both of us? I felt like I had been blindsided and completely betrayed. I was shocked that he was capable of doing something so careless without consulting me first. I could barely even look him in the eye. All I was able to say is that he had better beg to get his job back, and until then I was going to take the kids and go stay with my cousin. I was so angry I couldn't even fathom staying under the same roof as him. He just nodded and didn't even put up a fight. He knew he had royally messed up. He said he would go back to the job site on Monday and tell his foreman he made a mistake and he would like his job back. That was yesterday. We stayed at my cousin Carla's house last night where I vented and told her everything. She was shocked that he would do something like that. Carlos has always been a carefree, fun-loving guy, but nobody thought he was capable of this level of irresponsibility. I don't even know what to do going forward. Even if he does get his job back, I don't know how I'll ever trust him again. I'm so hurt by the fact that he had so little regard for me, that he didn't even think to ask my opinion on this. And I'm also concerned that he'll make more stupid decisions like this in the future. How did I end up married to someone so careless? Am I overreacting? He's been loyal to his company for almost 20 years now, so I think his boss will be able to overlook this and will give him his job back. But is it wrong for me to have lost all trust in him after this one incident? I'm planning on giving him the rest of the weekend for him to think through all of this alone. Then I will go back on Monday after work to see what happened with his job. I almost wish we had never inherited this money to begin with. What a nightmare. It's Monday, and I went home this afternoon to talk to Carlos and see what happened with his job. Just like he said, he went back to the job site first thing this morning to beg for his job back. But unfortunately, his boss refused to reinstate him. He said that Carlos seemed extremely erratic and that this unpredictable behavior could be a liability on the job site. So he thought it was best to not hire Carlos back on. Carlos was crushed. He apologized to me over and over again, but honestly, I don't want to hear it. I'm honestly concerned for his mental health at this point. How could he possibly have made this decision if he was of sound mind? I feel like he's going through some kind of major midlife crisis. I want to be supportive of him, but honestly, right now, I can't even stand to be around him. He understood my not wanting to be around him. He said he would go stay with his brother for a while so I could bring the kids back home. He said he would start looking for a new job right away and that he'd like to come back home as soon as he found one and could help contribute financially again. I said we'd talk about it as soon as he finds work again. Am I overreacting over this? Or am I right to have lost my trust in him? It's been a long time, but I feel like I need to update this now. It's been 5 years since my father passed away, which means it's been about 4.5 years since Carlos and I got divorced. After everything that went down with the inheritance situation, Carlos ended up going on a downward spiral and began drinking even more. He became mean and was extremely resentful of me. He never even tried to find another job and ended up permanently moving back in with his parents. I couldn't believe that the man I had married had become this loser. It was clear to me right away that he wasn't going to change, so I called a divorce lawyer right away. Carlos barely put up a fight at all, and we were officially divorced within 6 months. I never wanted to end up here, but I knew I couldn't stay with him after losing that trust in him. I ended up keeping my full inheritance and was able to put both of my kids through school. It was an awful time in my life, but I know I made the right decision. ESH. Obviously, it was insane for him to up and quit his job like that, but the poor man was definitely having a mental breakdown. If he was really that desperate to get out of his job, he was probably feeling mentally drained for a long time before that. Did you even notice? Of course, it was wrong for him to do something so irrational, but I feel that as his wife, you should have been his main supporter and helped him get back on track, not just up and leave him. NTA, this is insane. I don't blame you at all for reacting the way you did. As a husband and a father, he has a responsibility to help provide for his family. I can't believe he'd be so selfish to do that to you. I wouldn't have been able to trust him again either. This has been a shit show in my head, and I need to help to determine if I, 31 male, royally messed up or did I do what I had to do? My mom and dad both are severely antisocial. It is at a level that they haven't left our neighborhood for 12 years since I left for medical school to another city. In my childhood, I wasn't also allowed to call any friend of mine to my house, or they never came to any parent-child conferences, my school staff, or even family events because it was too many people. They would email with my teachers or have phone calls. This would be in emergencies. Mostly they emailed them. Luckily, both of my grandparents and my uncles and aunts from both sides cared for me immensely, even though all of them had their own kids or their own life, etc. At my medical school graduation, all of them were there, and at my graduation from residency, they organized a festival in our neighborhood. They were 400-ish people, not kidding. If there weren't them, I wouldn't have had a normal childhood. My parents are also both working from home as data analysts since the early 2000s, so they 95% don't leave their houses. I'm also engaged to my fiancé, 35, male, for 6 months, and we are together for 9 years. To be fair, my parents tried to have a relationship with him, but it was too much for them. Seriously, they said that. And they said, you are happy, so we are happy too. Just send us an invitation to your wedding if things go forward. Even through all of this, I love my parents and I want them to have their place as my parents in my wedding. And I just want them to be present in one of my life events. So I asked them to participate in planning. They said no. I said, maybe a wedding speech? They said they wouldn't. Then I asked, sit in the front row at least? They said, "We don't like to be the attention." I finally exploded and said they weren't in my significant moments. They never participated in any of my life events, and they even didn't try getting to know my fiance. I said, "Just stay at your heaven." They call their house their heaven. "And don't bother me anymore. Good night." And I left their house. 2 days later, I sent the wedding list to our organizer, and my parents weren't on the list. Our organizer is also my cousin's boyfriend. So when he saw the list, he called her and she texted all of my family and in laws. My in laws and my grandparents think they got what they deserved, but all my parents' siblings and their kids think I should abide by them and invite them as normal guests. So AITA? NTA. But OP, you need to decide if this is your hill to die on after years of being treated badly, or if you just want your parents at your wedding. It sounds like you know who your parents are, hermits. It sounds like going to your wedding would be hugely outside of their comfort zone. I would think that would make you happy. I'm not sure why they have to have significant roles in your wedding. Again, with that said, you wouldn't be wrong to not invite them. You just need to decide what's more important to you. NAH, because it sounds like your parents are suffering from an unknown social disorder. However, you've had a lifetime of disappointment from them, and there is absolutely no excusing that. So I would just suggest that given you know their significant limits, perhaps pushing them to go further than they are capable of going is just going to be a situation where you are constantly upset and hurt. Younger, you deserve better. Adult, you may need to accept about your parents having some sort of mental hygiene issue that is going to prevent you from having a traditional relationship with them. Either way, it stinks for you. NTA. It's your wedding. If you don't want to invite them, then don't. It doesn't seem like they put any effort into being parents, at least besides the basics of feeding and putting a roof over your head when you were younger. If they don't want to put in the effort to be there, then you don't have to invite them. It's your day. You do what you want to do and screw anyone else. My fiance and I are engaged and recently chose our wedding party. My bridesmaids are my two closest friends, and his groomsmen are my brothers. One being his best friend, and the other he has known just as long and has been like a big brother to him. My fiance has a younger sister. She's 4 years younger than him and is a cancer survivor. That has shaped their relationship too. His parents favor her, spoil her rotten, and expect everyone to follow suit, and she uses that to her advantage with people. My fiance has admitted sometimes he hates her, that when he says no to something and she throws the cancer in his face or accuses him of wishing she had died when he won't even do a simple thing for her. He's not estranged from his family, but he's not very close with them either. He does blame his parents for what happened and has a lot of resentment towards them because he was mostly ignored as a kid, because she was sick and then was expected to treat her like a princess. He said his parents ruined her and gave him a crappy childhood. When we talked about our wedding party, he had mentioned not wanting the sister in the wedding. I respected that, especially since, to put it bluntly, I don't care about her at all. We never hung out or anything. Apparently, she was waiting once she heard we got engaged to be asked to be a bridesmaid, and my fiance's parents were also. No invite came, and I was personally called by all three and asked about it. I told them I had not planned to ask her, that I was having my two closest friends. They said, she's family though and important to my fiance. I told them she wasn't close to me and they were asking me to include her in my bridal party where she does not belong. They called me an a-hole and told me I should be making more of an effort. They also told me nobody belonged in my bridal party more, and to think otherwise made me sound like a bully. And after all she's been through too. AITA? NTA. But you and your fiance are going to have to get on the same page about whether this is where you want to take a stand over his family's babying of her. If he's truly had enough, then he needs to tell them this isn't up for debate, and anyone who doesn't like it is welcome to stay home. If he's not prepared to burn any permanent bridges with his family, you may need to come up with some other honorary title task for her. From your description, your fiance's parents expected him to defer to his sister's demands, and now they want to start in on you. It's your wedding, and you have total discretion over choosing members of your wedding party. Miss Manners says people who are in a wedding party are presumably closely connected to the bridal couple. Check. She also advises they should be treated as friends, not indentured servants. So, treat the bridesmaids, MOH, and groomsmen well, and you're both good to go. This won't be the last time Sis will be making demands of the two of you. From holiday planning to baby naming, just wait. So, it's imperative that you and your fiancé maintain your stance in this matter. And congratulations, NTA. Just wow, you are NTA. It is your wedding. You can have in it whomever you want. Just because they think she is entitled to it doesn't mean she is, especially since your fiancé doesn't even want her in. If he had requested she be part of the bridal party, I would most certainly consider it and probably honor his request. But his parents have no say.